This is a video I'm making on competition and why I think that we are so competitive. And does it really matter? So, being competitive in our society, I believe, is promoted to raise self-confidence. So, which is a good thing. Because without self-confidence, you're kind of flapping in the wind. On the other hand, all that too much self-confidence can lead to aggression. And a lot of the things that we do, sports especially, is all about competitiveness. So when I was a kid, I remember I had a big wheel. I don't know if anybody knows what a big wheel is. Probably not, because I'm old as dirt. But the big wheel was very popular back in the 70's, early 70's. And it's just a piece of plastic built into like a little three-wheel sit-down on like bike thing. So you would sit on it, pedal it. Two wheels, fat wheels in the back. Skinny big wheel, taller wheel in the front. And then you just kind of cruise around with that thing and, have races. Run into your friends with it. Sometimes we'd even grab rocks and ride them and then throw rocks at each other in the alleys, which was always a lot of fun. Sometimes somebody got hurt. Sometimes they didn't. But most of the time we had our protection, because protection was very important, especially back in the 70's. So when we did throw rocks at each other with our big wheels in this big competitive thing we were doing, we would usually use metal trash can lids to protect us from the flying rocks that were aimed at our heads. But what I've taken away from that, as being a kid having rocks thrown at me as I scurried around on my big wheel, is that everything has always been about being competitive. And even when I got older, sometimes I would go to the bar and I'd see my friends there. My friends would be drinking beers at the bar, and I go and I drink beers at the bar with them. And sometimes we'd have competitions, pool game competitions. It was always very competitive. And there was also a lot of drinking, so it was very competitive with the booze too. I can drink more than you. So what I think about all that competitiveness is, the one side, it does promote self-confidence. And it also can be a bonding experience with people, especially men, because men love to sit around and drink beer and talk about what they used to do, and, well, I'm bigger than you, that kind of stuff, But as I get older, and I lost a lot of my competitive edge, mostly due to age and my bout with meningitis really basically put me in my place. I said, I have to stop being so, stupid. And so I stopped the drinking. But what I remember is, all the way back into childhood, it was ingrained in us to be competitive. And I went to private school. I went to Catholic school. So when I went to Catholic school, I was I was pretty competitive, as far as like I liked to excel in sports like kickball and tetherball. I didn't really excel at it. I just liked to beat the crap out of people with the ball. And they also had these other balls that we would use back in the early 70's, big red balls. I'm sure a lot of people remember those things. They were these big, huge red round balls, and these balls, when when they hit you, they would kind of twang. They would go bang, bang. You hear this twang to them. But that was probably one of the beginning times when I realized that that everything in life is about being competitive. But you don't really think about it. You just do it. You're not thinking, "Oh, wow, this is competitive. This is a bad thing." You're thinking, "I'm going to kick that guy's ass with this ball," or if I'm going to play baseball, I'm going to beat this dude. You know. And but as I get older, I realize that that's kind of the way our society is. It's very competitive. And it translates over into work, you know. So I'm better at you doing this, or I could type better than you, or you know. And it's weird because everybody thinks that they're the new prodigy, or they've figured out something new, and they're better than somebody else. It's not that anything that hasn't been done before. It's just because you're new to the game. So when you're new to the game, you're like, ooh, I'm going to show up everybody. But the reality is that you're not really showing up anybody because somebody's already done it before you and has probably done it better than you will ever do it. So with that in mind, I gave up my competitiveness. I just said, you know what? I don't want to compete anymore. I don't want to be like this. Even when I surfed a lot, I used to surf back in the day, and everything was competitive out in the water. Like who could do the most off the lips? You know, who could get barreled? Who's cooler? Who's cooler? You know, this kind of all this stuff. And so now, when I see a lot of things in the wherever, people will murder over competitions. You know, I think there's a story once where some lady and her daughter was like a cheerleader. Somebody you might have heard about it. Her daughter was a cheerleader, and then something happened where one of the ladies got killed. Of one of the daughter's moms got killed, or something like that. And then let's not forget the Nancy Kerrigan thing that happened back in the early '90s. So, I mean, it's just it's actually funny if you think about it. The competitive nature of our society, where people will basically kill just to win at something. Just something I thought about. And here's my pic. No competition involved. These are just a few pictures, waves that I created. And yeah, very cool.